Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Mike Robertson. Welcome out to our fifth 0 hour. Joined tonight by Dabu7, Erick, and Independent Press Project. How you guys doing this evening?
Good.
Good.
What up, Mike? What up, everybody?
Right on. Yeah. So a couple of different things to jump into tonight. First of all, everybody hearing everything okay? I think I sorted out all my audio issues. Want to make sure everything's coming through clearly on the other end.
Yeah, I was just checking. It sounded pretty good.
All right, cool. Nice to get it flowing smooth off the bat. So, anyway, Dabu, how you doing tonight, man? Everything good?
Yeah, just last time I was here in the hangout earlier, storm rolled through and knocked me offline and didn't have power on and off a couple times, and so I decided to take a drone flight.
Yeah, right on, man. I saw that footage. That double rainbow was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Right on. How about you, Chico? What's going on, man? Independent Press Project. Welcome out this evening. How you doing?
I'm just hanging out, man. I had a good day. Went bowling with my family. Just watching my little girls bowl. Really, they're not really bowling. They got the bumpers up and stuff. You know, they're babies, but they have fun.
You see me bowling.
Yeah.
Erick, you with us, man? Or did you step away for a second?
I'm here.
Right on. How you doing, brother?
Good, doing website stuff.
Yeah. Right on. Well, just before we jumped in, we were doing a lot of talking about North Korea, and we can get back to that in a little while. Start talking about some of the stuff that's going on. There's a few tech things that happened today that Erick just stumbled upon something pretty cool, and Sprint made an announcement earlier today about 5G service. So, I just want to put that out there. Keep your eyes peeled for that stuff.
I wouldn't necessarily say that what I just found is pretty cool. I think it's more of a shocker.
Yeah.
But you guys,
Go ahead, D.
I was gonna say, were you guys aware that Verizon had purchased Yahoo?
Yeah, and they bought Yahoo in 2015, and they bought AOL in 2014.
Yeah, the deal just got finalized with Yahoo earlier this year.
Okay, well, from what I'm seeing, it looks like they're Verizon, obviously AT&T and all these cats pulled their ad revenue or their ads off of YouTube in mass, along with a bunch of other companies. But what they did with Yahoo is they were saying that they were going to try to transform something and try to compete with Google, and that they weren't just going to sit there and let Google continue to be a beast. Basically, they're going to try to bring them down.
Can I say something on that really quick?
Yeah.
Remember the whole thing on how I was talking so heavily last week or the week before, whenever that was, about that bill that just got passed and Trump signed? I think it was Monday he signed it, about the internet service providers able to sell the data. That's because now the internet service providers are going to be selling ad space. That's why Verizon and all of them other companies took away their Google AdSense accounts, because they're going to be the rival of Google AdSense in their respective internet services. So if you have Verizon or Verizon Wireless, you will see advertisements that are being sold by Verizon or Verizon Wireless that are uniquely made from your search history.
If they're really going to compete with Google, though, what is it going to be? What's the platform going to be? I
think it's going to be.
They're going to have to roll something out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be across all platforms.
It will be across all platforms, because Google can only do it to websites that have Google Analytics installed into them. Verizon, I'll just use Verizon, is able to do it because you have your internet through it and they see everything that you search. where only Google sees what you search when you're on a website that has Google Analytics. That's the game changer.
Right.
Your service provider sees everything.
What I'm saying
take
is
everything that you do and target it.
I'm talking about a platform itself, like the rival to YouTube. Like
They,
what's
they,
it can
they're not doing a YouTube. They're not going after YouTube. They're going
No,
after
but
AdSense.
they are starting to use other services, though. I see what you're saying, Dabu. Here's an example. Verizon on the 3rd of this month, on April 3rd, completely shut off all at Verizon.net email addresses. They sent out emails for months to their people and to their customers for email services, letting them know, and they had up until April 3rd before their emails got automatically shut off. They were being asked to switch to an AOL account. So I think the positioning is going to be suck up as many large companies as that they can, utilizing those services to try to stand against companies like Google. You know, Google's trying to make big moves, making their services specific for specific for their phones and things like that. So the other companies like Verizon and the mobile carriers aren't too far behind. Whom it may, Will Turbitt joined us. What's going on, guys?
How's it going, guys? How you been? Long time. Miss you guys.
Yeah.
What's up, Will?
What's happening?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, man. Will
Likewise.
Turbitt from the Demand the Truth. It's nice to have you with us tonight. Well, we're talking about right now. We're talking about the takeover of mobile carriers and the changes that are being done technologically as far as 5G service is concerned, in conjunction with the bill that was just passed the other day, well, signed by Trump, passed last week, signed by Trump on Monday, that basically says that internet service providers can skim off of any bit of information that they want and sell that towards advertising. So Erick was just pointing out how and Dabu was pointing out how they, a lot of these mobile carriers have now, all of the four major names have pulled their ad services off of any Google services like YouTube. They've said last week that they're not going to be allowing any Google services to run their advertising anymore. So it's clearly some type of major move across the board, trying to put this particular market in checkmate, and that market being the soliciting and selling of our personal information to the highest bidder, which is scary as hell.
Yeah, and I think that's more vitally than ever at the age of magnifying the internet dollars.
Hey, Will,
definitely lost.
You're cutting in and out, man. I don't know what's going on with your audio, but it's fading in and out every couple seconds.
All right, how about now?
That sounds
good.
Yep.
All right. No, I was just saying that it makes perfect sense because with the death of the mainstream media occurring all around us right now and the resurgence of the independent media like you all, that's where the advertising dollars are. It's online, and they need to try to dominate and hold on because they're losing their grasp as we speak.
And with that, not even just the independent journalism sense, but even just all media in general. Like, there's many people that are just not buying a cable service. They're just buying internet. So if they're watching Netflix or something like that, the internet service provider sees exactly what you're watching, unlike possibly Google could see. So since they know exactly what you're watching, they could do more targeting to the shows that they would recommend you to watch due to your search history like that.
Yeah, but man, I'm telling you, they're doing even crazier. Like with that Google Voice, they're picking up what you're saying around you when you're talking. Because I've had it happen to me, just talking about something off the wall, and the next thing you know, the advertisement for it showing up.
Yeah,
talking about it.
This is the difference, though. Google capitalized I would say perfectly on something like that. Amazon as well. But when that data is going from your Google Home or whatever device you may have that's picking up your voice, it's just not going to Google, but your internet service provider picks it up as well.
Right. So the internet service provider is siphoning all of it anyway.
Yeah.
They're getting the bulk. They're seeing everything.
And that's the key here, is that everything is going through the internet service provider. Let's say, all right, right now, here's an example. Right now we're in Google Hangouts, right? Google could record and probably is recording and filtering everything that we're saying and putting our words into a database, right? But that's because we're using a Google service. I do not have a Google Home. It is, I guess, technically going through my ISP. But when things like 5G become the reality and everything, including your phone calls and everything, is running directly through one single line with your ISP, it's like having a Google Home voice recognition software built into your router that can read everything from what you type to what you say to what you search and
In real
websites
time.
in real time, putting it all into a database. And that's the database that they now have permission to do without your permission. See, they were doing this, the major people like Google, all the major names were doing this individually, but we had to click an I accept thing when we set up our accounts, and that's where they got their permission to do it. Now they don't need permission to do it. The ISPs can do it without us having to sign something. There's a lot of legislation that's been put out. Recently, a lot of requests for these types of privacy laws on a state level. But as far as the federal government's concerned, to the highest bidder, sell it. All your info to the highest bidder.
And we're going to continue to see that happening because at the end of the day, government has gotten so big that these companies are just working hand in hand, and just like every door where the FDA is run by heads of Monsanto and that are supposed to be in charge of taking our money and before our rights, these same people are being put ahead, like the technology heads of a lot of these companies. They're working hand in hand and bought off by the government, and it's just the collusion is going to keep happening as long as the government is so big and out of control, and they're not accountable to anybody.
Yeah, it's true.
And can I bring in some breaking news in the tech realm that kind of falls into this somewhat?
Of course.
So just found out millions of iPhone and Android devices are hackable due to a Wi-Fi chip bug. Now, with the hackability, any person that has the ability to do it, I don't know who is, could literally just make a phantom Wi-Fi connection, even if your Wi-Fi is off, because when your Wi-Fi is off, you're still technically on. It's just in like a very low mode. Your Wi-Fi in your phone picks it up, and the data can be skimmed. Everything in your phone can be skimmed. But the only reason why I'm bringing up with this conversation right here is that's just a hack. But when you're connected to your, let's say, your modem inside of your house or whatever, your router or whatever you call it, it's still in a sense doing that. Because every app that you have on your phone is still connecting to the router, still feeding in information every second. So even if you may not be using Twitter, it's still reading Twitter's information and sending it directly to your internet service provider.
Man, think about on the back end. Think about that secret, dark government agency that nobody knows about, nothing said. It's a huge beast system that sits there and monitors everything, monitors all of it. You ever seen the movie Eagle Eye, where they're tapping it, has Shia LaBeouf, whatever his name is in it?
Oh, yeah.
Around. Yeah, and they're tapping in every single camera and all over the place. Any little electronic anything they could tap into all over the place. And that's what I'm talking about. And can you imagine what they have in this virtual world. They have basically your whole life in this digital realm built where they know more about you than you realize, where they know your patterns. They see your circles every day. They see you get up.
They know more about you than you know about you, unfortunately, nowadays.
Right. It's scary. And it's everyone's like that. They've got a map on everyone, and they can, when they get a bead on your flow and your pattern, it gets predictive. And you wonder why someone could just show up and be standing somewhere someday in an odd spot. If they know your pattern and your routine, then they're just gonna jump in there ahead of you because they know you're going to be there. And that's like that with everyone because you're being tracked on Facebook. You go into your settings at a show that it's tracking everywhere. We showed Google marking everywhere that you're at, also logging your voice. I talked about that recently too. I mean, all this stuff. Yeah, I can't help but think that there's some master system they've got that's siphoning off of all this. It's like going to the alphabet gangs. And imagine the dirt that they have on everyone.
Have any of you seen the preview for The Circle, the movie The Circle that's about to come out in theaters?
No.
It's essentially the same concept. It's got Tom Hanks in it. I'm not exactly. It's like a firm that genuinely, like their sole purpose is to look through this information, everybody's personal information. They handle all the cameras. They have drones and whatnot that specifically spy on their employees and everybody else who uses their service or whatever they provide. Yeah, I'm interested in going to see it. Like with every other mainstream movie that they push out there, there's always some kind of hidden agenda there.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's been all over the place for a while too. What was that movie with Sandra Bullock and Wesley Snipes and Rocky? Demolition Man, right?
Demolition Man.
Yeah,
Yep.
remember? So anytime they cursed, whatever machine they were closest to spit out a little ticket, and a little voice popped up that said, "You've been fined a credit for profanity." You know what I mean?
Right.
There's microphones and everything now, and it's all getting ready to be routed through one set of lines. And I feel like a broken record saying it, but it's important for. It's like we talk about this on every show for like the past 2 weeks, and we almost have to because the severity of this, the severity of personal information. I don't want some schmuck in a basement somewhere able to tap into my text messages because I sent it through a network and read my conversations with my daughter. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be targeted now with my advertising, which this is what this really all is about. Targeted on my advertising. I guess it was Ryan in the chat said, he was talking to somebody on the phone about going to Dunkin' Donuts, and he looked in his phone, and all of a sudden there's a link for Dunkin' Donuts, coupons. I mean, that's really where it's going.
In real time.
Yeah, in
All
real
in real
time.
time.
Yeah, in real time. That happened to me. It's what I was saying earlier. All I did was say it. I wasn't online. I wasn't on the phone or anything. I was just having a conversation in person, and then it happened to me. And I was like, no way, dude. There's no way.
One thing that everybody has to realize, too, is the fact of when you have things like Twitter, Facebook, and whatever other social media people may use nowadays, those are the only two I use, so I can't speak on behalf of the rest of them. But they have access to your microphones. You can, for some newer devices, and when I say newer devices, I'm talking about within the past 3 years, you're allowed to turn off some of the permissions to where you can turn off things like your microphone. Like, for example, just because your phone's on standby mode in your pocket, the microphone is still picking up and transmitting data over to Facebook, Twitter, Google, everywhere. So you can disable those permissions so it's not doing that. I learned it firsthand and having some conversations with a buddy of mine. And then when I went into permissions and turned it off, all of that stuff disappeared. Every single one. I even see less advertisements on my Twitter now after turning off the microphone stuff.
And Dabu, you did a video recently about turning off the voice recognition on what was it, Google Home?
Yeah, you go through their home screen, and I forget the exact. I don't want to say it wrong. I say it in the
That's all
video
right.
word
Just
for
make sure.
word.
Yeah, check
But
out.
yeah, you get into that, and you can access everything. What it does, it says that it's storing your stuff so that you can go back and you can learn from it, or they can learn from it, and then it's like a record. But it's like, shouldn't you know? I mean, if you wanted a record, you would record yourself or something. But they're doing it and like hiding it, and then not telling most people.
Well,
That's why I did the video.
the thing is, too, with that, go ahead, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The thing with that, too, is a lot of companies, especially in the realm of apps, since apps is like the way to go in technology now, they turn on the diagnostic feature automatically to where you send data over to them for diagnostic purposes.
Right.
Diagnostic purposes is a very open-ended statement to say.
It is.
I just want to jump in here and say that although what you are saying is correct, if they still want to get, still can. I mean, they busted the 2010, I think it was like 2008, when the phones were and they accessed it, and the NSA even bragged a couple years ago actually using radio waves remotely hack your phone. So but they can still get in, like you guys were talking about earlier. I mean, they have the back doors built into these things, so
Right.
they can get access
I was going to tell you, your audio, I don't know what it is. Every 2 or 3 seconds, like you said earlier, the whole time it's been doing it cuts in and out. I just want to let you know.
All right, I'm going to try to rectify that and get back on with you guys. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's not severe. It's just it's cutting out here and there. We can make out most of what you're saying, but I just wanted you to be aware that it's happening.
All right, I'm going to try to fix that.
Oh, it's all good. I just wanted to let you know it's no biggie.
Right now.
Happens. We've had a lot worse.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, thank you, Lee. I appreciate that. All right. Well, and I'm sure we'll get it more into the technology stuff even more as things keep happening. Kind of like with everything else in the world going on right now, there's new stuff that's popping up every single day. B talked about it in a stream this morning where, it's like every day we wake up and it's just major stuff in our face and, things just popping off every day now. And, that's kind of the reality that we live in. So I expect that to still be the same way with the technology stuff. You can trust that there's a few tech geeks on this crew that are paying attention to it, and obviously we'll let you know as that happens. I'd kind of like to shift gears a little bit and get into we didn't talk about this earlier at all, guys, so this is kind of like a fresh discussion topic for us this evening, but I'm kind of curious where everybody stands on the Syria situation right now. Specifically the what's been going on with the gas attack, the accusations that are being made by Washington and its allies, and where everybody stands on that. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I have many thoughts on that, which I kind of said earlier. I'm gonna try to say my thoughts on it without going on a rant.
It's okay.
But,
this is an open forum, brother. If you got a rant, get it off your chest. We're with you.
Well, pretty much the thing that gets me with this whole entire thing is we heard the reports and we saw the photos of what is said to be a sarin gas attack.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the bodies. The thing that gets me with it is many people, especially inside here in the United States, B mentioned that well earlier as well before he had to jump out. Sarin gas attacks the nerves. When it attacks, you drop. You don't go into the type of position that the bodies were being found in. You don't curl in, you curl out. Your back, your spine just doesn't work the way a normal spine works anymore. If you look through the photos, you look at the responders and stuff like that. From the originally, when the photos came out, the first few hours after it happened, there was these responders that were out there. They said it was a gas attack. They're near all of these canisters that they said were having the gas, but they're out there in t-shirts and shorts. This stuff goes through your skin and pretty much kills you.
Right.
Why would you expose yourself that much to this stuff?
Right.
And then later on, they had the responders out there with the face mask and the bodysuits on, but then they're handling the bodies without gloves on.
Yeah, there's a lot of people calling bullshit right now online.
I just want to break in to say there's a tornado warning right now for Penton, Alabama, 5 Points, Alabama, Shroud, Alabama, right now. That's kicking off. Also in Chambers County, Alabama, they're saying seek shelter now. So in the past 5 minutes. And it looks like we've got another tornado there. And we've got a cell potentially heading toward Ashland. They're saying that it could have a possible tornado too. It has the signature. So I just wanted to put that out there real quick.
Yeah, this whole Syrian thing attack. And one thing that really got to me first too was when the reports first came in, literally people were going in and saying, well, not people, different news agencies were going and saying, breaking, Syria just did a chemical attack on its country.
Right, it was almost instantly
How
assumed.
would anyone know that without even having anyone on the ground to even figure anything out yet?
My thing is that I don't think that Assad would be that foolish to do that.
I don't think
Not right
anyone
now,
would
at
really
least.
be
Like,
that foolish to go and kill their own people that type of
I mean,
way.
especially while you're under the spotlight already,
Right.
By internationally all the way. Everybody has their eyes on you. Why would you do
I would
that right
hope
now?
I would hope no leader would want to just go kill their people. Because it's like, then why are you leading the people if you just want to kill them? But that goes into a whole different realm of stuff. So I'll just digress for now.
Yeah. Well, how about any of you guys? Do you got any thoughts on what's going on with Syria? Potential false flag, anything like that?
Yeah, here real quick before I say something on that, we've got an extended new tornado watch for portions of Alabama and Georgia till 2 a.m. now. And the Standing Rock areas of Alabama also have a tornado warning now. So, active night here in terms of tornadoes out there. If anyone's in Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, man, eyes peeled. But yeah, here in terms of the whole Syria thing, it's always with me. They've always been attempting to try to take out Assad and take out Damascus. It's been one of the main goals of this whole creation of ISIS, because they launched from the foothills of Jordan, they launched from the borders of Turkey, and they just dove in northern Syria. When they did, they carved out the whole top, one big sweep. After they did that, what they do? They swooped down in Iraq. They just so happened to have all these weapons just sitting there. Took them all. And along the way, they took all the oil fields. And they still have control of them. And they're sitting there talking about all this petty crap. It doesn't make no sense to me. Anyhow, we know who created ISIS, so I know what they're doing. They've created the boogeyman to go. They have control of billions of dollars of oil right now in the market that they're actually selling to Israel in an open market, which is crazy, and other countries. So if they didn't want them to be fueled and funded, they would simply not buy their freaking product. You see what I'm saying? They're selling us daily from all these oil fields daily. No one's talking about it. And it's just their war machine going into these countries that haven't bowed down or don't have a Rothschild bank. And Assad, he's got cats coming from both angles. Turkey You've got ISIS or the fake militants coming up from the north now in Iraq. And, you know, to me, Syria is about the ancient stuff, man. It's what I think about Iraq. It's what I think about everything else. I think the rest is just a front. So I think at some point you're going to see the heat. You're going to see the heat kick up. There's going to have to be some reason to level Damascus at some point. And them trying to say right now that he's chemical gassing his people. We've seen this before. He's put out a video a couple weeks ago on the J Night channel, a whole staging of a bombing in Syria. They came up, pulled up, put a bomb, blew the whole thing up, and then all the people pulled in the van, the camera crew, all the actors jumped out onto the ground, all laid out, people dragging them off to the side. It's 100% staged right there in the war zone. And it just shows the level of propaganda that's been spun up. It sucks because one of the best journalists we used to have covering that whole thing was Sharina Shim that got killed. Many think that the Turkish government assassinated her and took her out. But we don't have any real true eyes and ears in the ground. Everything's censored from over there. You know?
Yeah.
To me, they're just itching. They're just itching to level Damascus and then finally get into Syria and
do you think
be
North
able to
Korea,
roam?
Do you think the crap going on with North Korea ties into that at all?
It's all part of the world stage, man. Multiple. Yeah. That's why they call them theaters of war, man.
And one thing I want to say too is, how come people aren't questioning, especially people that follow so closely with the alternative news realm? They know about the whole central bank thing. Why don't they question the fact of that we're targeting countries that don't have central banks? There are very few that don't have them inside the world. But yet we're in peace with every other country that has a central bank. How come the ones that don't have central banks are the ones that are said to be the most craziest ones in the world? I don't get it. How come people don't see this stuff? How come people aren't questioning, especially those that follow alternative news? Maybe someone that doesn't watch alternative news and doesn't understand the whole thing about central banks, I understand. But if you know about central banks and how much control they have over countries, how come you're not questioning this whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
Russia, North Korea.
What's interesting is that there's Russia and China are starting to trade in gold more and more. If they start to do that, man, that's big time. That's a big money move. The last person that attempted to do that was Muammar Gaddafi, and they went in and killed him in the streets. Yeah. So you're talking about challenging the petrodollar, the dollar, and the Chinese currency is already in the IMF basket, so now it's got weight behind it. And they start trading with Russia majorly in gold, and they set a trend. They've always been talking about creating this other kind of currency between them. If that ever gets pushed and implemented, I mean, you can't say you can't go to war with these countries, but I mean, you're talking like World War III type of war. There's no way you can engage China or Russia in a little way, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a proxy war, for sure.
Yeah, well, there are proxy wars. That's another thing we have to see here. Well, Syria is part of that too. In terms of proxy war, and you can look at Ukraine. Ukraine's the same thing. And them Russia swooping and grabbing Crimea, the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You know, Ukraine was completely overthrown by the West and NATO. Yet no one talks about. They will not portray it in that light. Never. They won't even act like it never happened. You know, it's crazy. They're the ones that took it. It wasn't Russia that did it. If it was Russia, then Russia would have had control of all of Ukraine. That isn't what happened. A puppet government was installed backed by the West and NATO.
Yep.
And if it wasn't backed by them, then we'd have troops in there or doing something in there. That shows you 100% they're running it. Because they're not. We don't have like a full steam unit in there. We've moved all of our troops into Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, around Belarus. And I said it before, and I'll say it one more time. Kaliningrad is big time in terms of Russia. Kaliningrad is a small piece of land that they took over that sits between like Poland and Belarus in a waterway. And Russia can launch missiles from land, sea, and air from this position, but it's also outside of their country. It's like one of the only little spots away from mainland Russia. And if you're gonna attack Russia, that spot has to be wiped out. So you just always remember that Kaliningrad will be a key target if anyone's going to try to attack Russia. That and their bases there in Crimea, Sebastopol, and they're not. NATO's vowing they're going to take back Crimea.
Yeah.
And there's no way that's going to happen unless there's big war.
Yep. Russia's not going to let that happen. Not one bit.
Nope.
No.
They're entrenched in. Crimea is key. Always has been. I'm going to be doing an upcoming video on that again. Just kind of taking a look at all the crazy stuff there. And
yeah, it's a
refresh
little bit more
people's
than
minds.
yeah, that's right. It's a little bit more than military that's going on in Crimea. I recall
Get the
seeing
Caucasus Mountains that run up in that area,
Yeah.
ancient pyramid structures. I mean, it's definitely interesting. And you wonder why are they all fighting over this land? Well, look at all the stuff we see and we find. Look at Syria. The biggest cut stone ever seen in the world is protruding out of the ground there. They can't move it. Sitting in Baalbek.
I agree. I think a lot of these wars have to do with his artifacts from history.
The oldest site in the world, temple, is Göbekli Tepe. It sits on the border of Syria and Turkey. Mount Hermon is just due west of Damascus.
Yep.
Mount Hermon's key. I'm telling you, all that we've talked about sits right there in Syria. So much ancient stuff. And so could you imagine? I mean, it's the, what is it? The most ancient city, ongoing city with ongoing life since the ancient time to this day. Is that how they put it? Something like that. But yeah, in terms of North Korea, as you were talking earlier, these guys keep popping off missiles like they're fireworks. Something big's going to happen. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be much talking about it because as Erick put out that piece talking about how Congress has approved, pushed it in the House, that they're going to put North Korea on the state sponsor of terrorism list. That's it. That's it. If Trump comes out and says, all right, we're going, and people are like, well, we got to get Congress's go ahead. They just gave the go ahead, pushed it through the House. So things to think about, because Obama said, I'm going to bomb Libya. And people are like, oh, no, you're not. And then he had a hard time with Congress. He just unprecedented overrode them. Said to hell with it and dropped bombs on Libya is what they did. So it's how hard will they press this issue? I think if they're going to go after North Korea, it's going to be something quick, swift, and it's just going to come out of nowhere and escalate. You're going to hear that they just, they're probably going to time it out to coincide with one of their launches. They're going to just be sitting there waiting because they're watching them on satellite. They're watching them roll these missiles out in real time. They can rewind it like TiVo. You track down every damn one of them where they're going. So they know when they're rolling these things out and they're getting ready to launch. And I think they're going to time it out right there. And if they intercept one before it gets way out to sea and it's like midair, who knows? They could try to snipe it out of the sky and just start dropping bombs on them and be like they were shooting at us. If it never makes it out to sea, they shoot it down. Who's to say where it was going? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and Watchers
They've got an itchy.
Watchers makes a good point. North Korea, their whole population is pretty much ready to go, and I see where he's going with that. He makes a statement that Seoul will be overran in 45 minutes after an attack on the north. And
I don't know that they would run in there. I think they nuke them.
How do we know that their people are ready for war? How do we know that?
And there's a huge propaganda piece to the other side of the coin too, and that seems to be, there's lots of different angles to look at with this. You know, we're hearing a lot, we're seeing very little. The things that we think that we know that are going on in North Korea, how much of it really is going on and how much of it's not. But one thing we all know
Right.
is that any war is going to happen for some sort of monetary gain, on an elite structure, for either possession of territory or some type of like oil with the Middle East. You know what I mean? Ancient technology, I'm sure, falls in there somewhere too. Um, it, that's one thing we do know. You know, the
Oh, no doubt that I guarantee you that he's got his military ready to fight and do some things. But I can guarantee you there's people over there that just don't want to fight. But then again, once it starts raining bombs down around you and your people are dying, it changed people's minds kind of quick.
Well, lest we forget the
Mm.
Korean War. I
Sure.
mean, they the North fought hard. They fought really hard,
But well,
entrenched.
that's the thing.
In
You're right.
in the ground.
There is a fine line there. Because if they don't make a stand, if the North Koreans don't make a stand, then South Korea will run up in there backed by the U.S. military and try to overtake it. And it'd be the Korean War 2.0, but this time with some big bombs. I think
Yeah.
strategically placed.
Yeah.
That 4-star general just came out and said it, and he was like, "Look, we're down to very little options, and most of it on the table is strikes, and it's doing."
But the thing that gets me with this is North Korea is very similar to how Cuba was. They don't have really any relations with the rest of the world. They're using technology from before they got pretty much
How do
put
we
away
know
from
that?
the rest of the world.
How do we know that?
How don't we know it? How do we know that they have this new?
I mean, they're allied with China. You don't, like I said, like the point I made earlier. You don't think that they make trade with China?
Well,
Yeah,
China
yeah,
is their
yeah.
one asset, and that's it. And they were talking about sanctioning China, but then they said that won't work.
But even still with that, I get what you're saying, Chico. But then again, how do we know they actually have all these ballistic missiles that they've been test firing anyway without any proof? We don't technically have proof. We're just believing the word of what we're told.
All right, if the right crazy Chinese leader wanted to send a little tactical nuke into North Korea and be like, here you go, just sit on that, and if they wanted to, they could.
Yeah.
It's a true puppet regime. If somebody wanted to do something crazy,
I mean, China could be propping them up.
well,
So-
if North Korea falls and it's South Korea and the U.S. military runs all up in there and is occupying that, just like they ran up in Afghanistan occupying it, and all these other places, Iraq occupying it, the neighbors aren't going to feel too comfortable. And China's going to be right there. That's going to be the closest U.S. military could get up in there, up into the belly of China. And they have all this disputing going on in the South China Sea. That would be a pivotal position for them. I mean, having South Korea as an ally is huge for the United States in that area.
Yeah.
And China doesn't have any big, you got to think about this. In a time of war, China doesn't have any big friends out there. In a time of war, Australia, there's other places. Look, when Flight 370 went missing, some things we noticed and that I picked up on just watching all the intel is how they were talking about, they were observing China's military because China was sending search vessels out to try to look for the debris, and they were watching them. And what they were watching them do is refuel, maneuver. They could only go through certain routes. And it showed they had a difficult time doing it. And just trying to pull off any of the search and rescue out there, far away off from China. Because they don't have any friendly ports to pull into and refuel. No friendly harbors. They're literally going out and then they'd be surrounded by enemies. Especially if India ever turned against them. And that's another factor no one ever talks about is India. India, Pakistan, these guys got nuked.
Yeah.
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 And they've got millions of people.
Yeah, I
India.
was going to say population plays a key there with India, man. We got a
Mhm.
lot of people there, dude.
And their GDP is good too.
So you've got to look at when it comes to Eurasia or the whole Asian area there, when it comes down to it, you've got a lot of Chinese and a lot of Indians that are buying for all the food and resources in the region. You see, when it comes down to it, those are the two big juggernauts when it comes down to people and technology.
Yeah, I agree with that because I know for sure India has a lot of engineers. For sure they do.
Yeah, and I don't think that these wars are always going to be played out the way people think. I would watch for in some of these countries I look for like big earthquakes or big natural disasters, crazy floods, just that's the warfare weapon through weather. There's other ways to attack a country and to cripple a place besides an EMP or a nuke or bullets. If you can control the weather, who do they blame? They have to then prove it and try to convince everyone else that it's happening and have all the proof to show it.
Right.
That's a big one. Being able to cause natural disasters, earthquakes, control the weather. My mind. Send whole countries into famine. You could bring rain. Too much rain.
For sure. Flood.
Walls of water, like we've seen. We're just getting kicked off here with this stormy season, man. And I hope we don't see what we saw last year, like down in Houston and other places like that, were just completely submerged, like whole cities. It's crazy. And then, where was that, Eric? Or Eric dropped out. I think it was Baltimore. It was either Baltimore or Philly.
That flash
last year.
flood.
Yeah, the flash flooding. It was just coming down so fast. It turned the streets into rivers. Like insane. Like, just hope we don't see none of that again.
Yeah, I don't want to see any of that. Or any more of these, that Hurricane Matthew, if that would have touched down in Florida, look what it did to Haiti. I think they said 585 people was the death toll from what they updated it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They said 585 people were the death toll of it. It actually said Matthew set a record for damage and death counts for, I forgot how many years, but I'll have to find the report I was reading yesterday,
I've
man.
seen the damage, man.
585 people and like $1.5 billion dollars in damage. Like, man, it's insane. And 585 deaths, two in Florida. I believe a couple were both of the ones in Florida, trees fell on them. And,
I do. There was some damage, man. I drove down through there. As soon as it hit Haiti and all that crap was going on, I hopped in the car. I beelined it down. I tried to get on the back end of it, went all the way down to the tip, down toward Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and then followed it up the coastline, all the way up to Jacksonville. And I seen the damage. I mean, the highways, the houses, properties. I seen the shoreline that was eroded and just chewed up. And
yeah, Jacksonville, Daytona area. The shoreline was tore up.
I seen some craziness, man. It's unique. I also just seen whom it may. You just retweeted that 2.5 earthquake just hitting Hancock.
Yeah,
Hancock County, Georgia. So we got 2.5. And that's what I've talked about before, is the pressure of some of these storms, because I've seen it in the past when hurricanes come up. The pressure will cause smaller quakes in the area.
That actually that happened on Monday, but we were experiencing a lot of severe storms here on Monday too. Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, you have to. I'd like to see the maps and kind of overlay them, see if anything correlates. Because if that was still Monday, whole Midwest has been seeing a lot more small earthquake activity. 6 months ago, there wasn't really none of this crap. Now there's little ones popping up in Georgia and Tennessee and Kentucky, Missouri, all around New Madrid.
The last earthquake I experienced was like 2001 or 2002. That's the last one I can recall happening anywhere near here. Really.
I've never experienced a hurricane. Hold
on. You said that the earthquake you just retweeted was from Monday?
Yeah, it happened Monday.
Well, I hate to break it to you, brother, but it just happened, dude. There's one just happened. A 2.5 just struck 45 minutes ago in Sparta, Georgia. Right where this line of storms is going over and everything else right now.
About that.
Right,
The
right.
report, the report you tweeted, whom it may, has a date of today, posted today, updated today.
The report is was posted today, but it was at 10 p.m. on Monday is when the actual quake happened.
Oh,
So
I
that's
see 10 p.m. Monday before 10
Well,
p.m.
that's interesting because now we've got
Sparta, Georgia.
two quakes now in a matter of days hitting in Georgia. No, something to keep an eye on. We don't normally see quakes like this.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, that's strange.
We can hear you.
Can you put me on screen, Shirley, quick? This just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's looking crazy up in Ohio right now. I'm looking at the radar as we speak.
Oh, no shit.
I hate it when it gets like this at night, man.
Oh, my goodness. These are some supercells right here.
Yeah, Athens.
Hold on, let me see.
And they're calling for major storms in Pennsylvania tomorrow, too.
Chillicothe area. That's where they got the mounds.
And I hate crazy weather, man. It's so unpredictable.
Like, this band just came out of nowhere. Like, I'm already getting hit pretty hard, and it's just showing that little yellow. So I can imagine when all of this comes in. But this was not here 2 hours ago.
Yeah, that's look, that whole big purple thing that you see right there, that's what just came through northern Kentucky and Cincinnati. Backtrack it. That's what just came through my neck of the woods. The whole purple zone that you're talking about right there. And southern Ohio, Dearborn County, Claremont, all them over there, they always there's flats over there, and then it goes up into a ridge where a Serpent Mound sits. Peebles, all that. But dude, that line is, look at that line from Canada all the way down past Atlanta. Is that one main line. Then you've got another line off the coast, the East Coast there, running down the East Coast from Virginia to Georgia. That's why they said it's going to have multiple waves.
And that right there is so thick, even this far back out, you could still see all that purple.
Yeah, that's some mean stuff right there. It was flashy, too. It was flashy and loud.
That's pretty much what it is. Here's not loud yet, but it is really flashy. Makes me want to go to the lake. But I'm not doing that.
You pick your spots. Try to catch one of these clearings, man, as the storm's like rolling off or rolling in. I can't wait till I catch one of these shelf clouds or one of them wicked cloud formations rolling in. I get the drone up, fly into that.
Well, wow. Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. Turning on some of these radar layers real quick.
Wow, so there's still tornado watches in effect all the way from parts of Alabama. Actually, Bobby, you're in the tornado watch zone still.
It's because of the way they're kicking up off the back end. They're spinning up. Babs is looking at some other images there.
Yeah, the pop-ups. These are some big pop-ups, though.
Kind of, I know some of the dew points across north of Cincinnati weren't all that high, but in other areas across mid-Kentucky, they were. And I think that's what ended up fueling it around here. Because I could feel the humidity in the air earlier before the storms rolled in. I mean, it got like sticky for the first time this year. I felt it in the air. I was like, whoa. I was like, there's some energy in the air. It's going to be, it was bright, sunny, beautiful day. And then that's what fueled it.
Yeah. I'm kind of thankful that by the time we got a small break in it, it was, I think, too late in the day for it to really heat up too much here. So by the time it comes over the mountain right there at the Alabama-Georgia state line, I think it will calm down. I'm hoping. Like we just experienced a squall a few minutes ago, but I think that's the last one that's going to come through this particular area. But now that that has come through here, Atlanta's got to handle it, and then further on into Athens and East Georgia.
And then it starts to run up into the Blue Mountain Range.
Right.
Now here's the
Man, you've got all those waterways that run down out of those mountains too. So you're talking about flash flooding.
Right. Which is, from what I've heard earlier, which is a huge part of the problem over on the eastern side of the state. We're not seeing it. I mean, it does happen on the west side, but I'm not seeing evidence here like I'm seeing the photographs from over in that area.
All right.
All right, I'm about to. Am I still screen sharing?
yes.
Okay, this is from the National Weather Service at 4 o'clock earlier today. So you can see the progression from these storms from what they looked like at 4:10 to then what they look like now. Oh, that was just a nice one. That was a really nice lightning bolt.
Yeah,
goodness.
I heard it pop in my headphones.
Yeah, me too, man. That's wild, dude. That's awesome.
Do you guys hear this?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah, I hear
all afternoon too.
This is actually my first thunderstorm in Ohio. This can be interesting. It really makes you want to go to the lake. Does anybody make rubber umbrellas that I can like go buy right now before it starts raining?
The only rubber umbrella I know of is called a poncho.
What kind of zoom is that? There we go.
That'd be your only option, I feel like.
You're not sharing the
Unless you
Ohio
would like
map
a
anymore.
special order something.
Mm-hmm.
Decisions.
Did you hear about an earthquake?
Really, Cliff?
Was that Cliff?
Yes, that was Cliff.
Good for Cliff. Did you hear there was an earthquake? Either he's watching the show or he's got his notifications turned on for USGS.
It'd actually be funny if he was listening to this and didn't even realize Bobby was in here.
Well, let's see. We're literally at 1 hour now, aren't we? Yeah, B says he's getting hammered pretty hard right now, too. Well.
Hey, B, you can keep that down there. Just to let you know, because that's not going to be coming north. You can keep all of that.
I'm glad you guys heard him. That means the microphone's doing its job, man.
Yeah, it's working.
Digging the minute.
It's working for sure.
Cool.
You got a new mic?
Yeah, I got a new mic.
Yeah, you sound real clear.
Cool, man. Glad to hear that. Yeah. So I was incorrect earlier. that definitely did happen today. That 2.5 magnitude earthquake did happen tonight. But the way that this is written, there was also one Monday. I don't know. CBS might need to get their shit together.
Yo, Eric, the cheapest non-conductive umbrella. It's pretty expensive, man.
It was just more so for general things. It wasn't just for this storm. Because I just thought like that would be a really good thing to get some video of.
I was
One of
looking
them
it up
when
because
things
I
come
never
over the
thought
lake.
about one. No, it'd be cool for sure. For sure. You should just get you some of those water boots and just a water outfit, like one of those
Yeah, but
coveralls.
the camera. Oh, I can care less about myself, just the camera.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the one thing I do like about my Galaxy S7.
There's no need for gloating.
All right. Well, I guess before we wrap this up tonight, does anybody have anything in particular they'd like to go over this evening?
No, for real, man. Everybody just stay vigilant while we weather the rest of these storms coming through here. You know, they suggested. I seen a suggestion the other day from the National Weather Service that you should have two sources of information, or two sources to receive information from them. That might have been just a sales pitch there, but at the same time, if you have the means to do so, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Do keep an eye out on what's going on, regardless of what you're doing.
And just to put a little emphasis on that, a second way of communication, if you don't have any cable, is a NOAA radio, which you can get for like $5 at one of those little stores things, like what are those things called? Those stores?
They're stores.
Radio Shack?
No, I'm talking about one of the stores where you just buy like the weird, useless things that you kind of don't need. But
Well, it doesn't matter.
So
Eric just talked about it, so it's going to be popping up on everybody's phone in the next 10 minutes anyway. So, just make sure you follow one of the government-sponsored NOAA radio links that you'll find on either your PC, Mac, Android, or Apple devices. Available at all app stores.
Any of your major devices.
All platforms.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, D. Yeah, we can.
Oh, you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, I've been sitting here for the past 10 minutes saying, "Can you hear me?"
Oh man.
Can hear
now
you.
You can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just about to quit saying it too because I thought it was all right. Well,
yeah, you're good. You're good.
I lost internet and then didn't have no mic. Yeah.
Yeah, I've lost internet like twice and had to just keep trying to join back in.
That's what I did. I joined back in and then I didn't have no mic. There was two of me that popped in.
Right.
Would a real W7 please stand up?
I'm here.
Yeah. So, yeah, like May said, guys, just remain vigilant. Eric would have you make sure you charged up all of your chargers. Make sure you have candles. Anything you need to get through. Dabu, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about tonight before we get out of here?
Nah. Pretty spent for a long day. I'm ready to tackle tomorrow.
Yeah, right on. All right. Any closing statements from anybody?
just shout outs to everybody out there tunes in. Everybody out there in the chat. Much love to everybody.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Much love, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good one,
Thank you for all
everybody.
your support.
Yeah, appreciate it. In the chat hanging out tonight, 222 Lee, B always hanging out. Thank you, brother. Ryan's hanging out. Seen lots of people in here tonight. Molly was hanging out with us. Danny, as always, Monks on Motorbikes, still one of my favorite names. John, Watchers, to be free. Yeah, we just really appreciate you guys constantly coming back and hanging out with us and keeping it real. All right. Everybody have a great night. Be safe. And stay dry because it's going to be it's been a wet couple days. It's going to be a wet couple days to come. Much love, everybody. Have a great night. Be safe.
Y'all take it easy.